You can't take away AI from anything. To be honest, in the coming years, AI will be there by default in any product that is being developed because things are getting automated in a faster pace, and AI is almost everywhere.
Welcome, guys, to a brand new episode of our podcast, Human and AI Mind Machines and the Gradient Descent.
Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate your time with us. We are Alex and Uli, moderators of today's session. And our today's awesome mind is Vijay Pravin Maharajan, who calls himself a data storyteller. He's a TEDx speaker, 40 under 40 data scientist in India, and drives data analytics in Siemens Mobility.
Bam! Super interesting. Vijay, we are super stoked to talk to you and hear your story and insights on the impact of AI. And enough said, I guess we get the ball rolling, Alex, isn't it?
Yeah, surely. Vijay, thanks for taking some time with us. How are you and where do we catch you today?
Hey Alex and hi Uli. I'm doing really good. I'm equally interested and excited as you guys. Enjoying the sunny weather in Munich. I'm sitting close to Musach in Munich, and I'm really looking forward to interact with you guys today.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And maybe to start off, we prepared a small little game. So if you would need to pick one of the following two, what would it be? Are you more into coffee or tea?
I'm definitely a coffee person. I mean, coming from India, obviously people love both the things, but I'm kind of a coffee guy.
Nice. I can totally relate to this. I usually drink up to four cups a day. The next question would be, are you a vegetarian or a meat eater?
Definitely a meat eater. Obviously, living in living in Germany since 2013. So I was eating meat right from my days in India. So it's not that I developed that habit from my living in Germany. So yes, I'm a meat lover.
Okay, maybe for the next question, if you had to choose one digital companion, would it be Alexa or Siri?
That's Siri for me. I do have a MacBook and iPhone, so yes, I go with Siri.
Nice. And the last question, if you play a game, would it be soccer or cricket?
You got to be kidding. I'm an Indian. I come from India, so the obvious answer is cricket. So I play cricket,
And you're also playing, right, cricket in Germany, right? So,
yes, I play cricket here in Germany as well. I play for the cricket club of Bayern in Munich, which is again sponsored by the German Cricket Board.
awesome. So sports is kind of interesting, right? Because sports is also, skill based and especially team sports, right? That means you need certain kinds of skill. What makes it special playing cricket? What kind of skills are needed, to be a great cricket player? Is it just being really awesome in batting, or what do you like on cricket, and what kind of skills are needed?
I would say it's all about taking one ball at a time. So if you look at the legends, they take one game at a time. So it's all about capitalizing the moments. So it's not just about the batting or bowling. It is about a complete set of skills. You need to be calm and composed. And since it's a long game, I mean it's not like a football where it ends in a quick duration. It sometimes takes a day or two to finish a game. So it needs mental strength as well.
Thanks. Yeah, that's really interesting. And maybe for the audience, my next question would be, could you describe in a couple of minutes who are you and how did you end up at Siemens Mobility in Bavaria?
So I'm Vijay Pravin Maharajan, as you introduced me. I come from south of India, southern parts of India. I come from city called Tirunelveli down south in India, and I did my bachelor's in India. Afterwards, I came for my master's to Germany. So I graduated from Technical University of Munich. So that is how I ended up in Germany in the first place. And then initially I was working with Telefonica, and then had a short stint with Volkswagen, and then yeah, presently I work for Siemens Mobility for close to 2 years now, and yeah, I'm enjoying it actually.
Yeah, great. You're referring to yourself also as a data storyteller, right? That's kind of interesting. What is that? And maybe what is the most story, right? Impactful story to tell, and why is that?
Yeah, I always believe in stories. I mean, stories connects the data and it conveys a proper message. So if you look at the impactful story that I have addressed, it should be my TEDx talk, obviously, because getting a TEDx opportunity and also being the first Indian to be invited for a TEDx talk here in Germany below 30s is one of the greatest achievement I would rate myself into it. I mean, so far the video has got a good traction. I mean, it has already crossed 130,000 views on YouTube, and even in the TEDx platform, I spoke a lot about the data that is pertaining to India, where I come from. In particular, I spoke a lot about climate and sustainability, and also the youngsters in India, how they can join forces together.
Hmm. But here it's interesting. So you also are a 40 under 40 data scientist in India, right? How the heck can someone, if out of the audience, become step in your footprints here? So like, how do you get a 40 under 40 data scientist? And what is the sharing you would out to the young folks out there? What kind of skills and aspirations are needed in order to grow like you in this kinds of fields, right? Can you share something?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, for everyone, I mean, it's always a learning. So for me, even 2020 has been treating a lot of people in an awful way in terms of, I mean, COVID. But for me, 2020 is being kind so far. So I have got bagged a couple of awards this year, being the 40 under 40 data scientist in India. So I would say it's always good to practice what you are good at. So to become a good data scientist, I would strongly recommend someone to have a solid background in statistics, maybe pick up some good Python coding skills on the way, and then to have some analytical thinking. So that brings in a whole new addition to this data science perspective. And at the end of the day, you should also be in a position to take key decisions. So I would recommend any youngster to always believe in giving back to the society as well. So you learn a lot by giving it to the society.
Thanks. Yeah, that's a really good point of view and also really interesting, I think. Another question would be, so you mentioned your TED Talk and there you are also speaking about India. For us, it's really interesting to get an impression. How do you see India and the role of AI in its aspirations in the future?
India, I mean, the AI, artificial intelligence, or be it data analytics, haven't superseded like in the countries of US or Europe. I mean, it is still early days in India, but I have seen a lot of tremendous growth, particularly when it comes to AI products in India in the recent years. So if you look back, if you look at the past 5 years, let's say from 2015 or 2014, I have seen a tremendous growth, and a lot of people are talking about AI and data products in India, which is a welcoming change.
Which problems are like maybe the most important one you think should be solved by AI in India?
If we talking about India, and if you look on the national AI strategy in India, right, urban and sustainable development is one of the leading challenges, right? Can you share some kind of learnings? How do we tackle that with a technology such as AI, right? Does data driven insight help, and what kind of cases are there, right? And where can AI or technology around the machine learning and data analytics make a difference towards the strategy?
I mean, AI, as I said, it's been in the buzz, in let's say the news or in the technology and in the industries in the recent times. So if you look at Microsoft, they have heavily invested, particularly in AI and also in India. So let's say I'll give you an example. There is Bengaluru and Pune, which are one of the two most, I mean, it's one of the metropolitan cities in India, which are always facing water problems. So AI has been used in tackling these water issues and infrastructure management, let's say, and also coming back to a vital point, which is farming, because even by the end of 2017, almost half of India's population relied on farming. So agriculture was one of the main streams. It is still one of the main source of income for many Indians. So usage of AI in climate change, let's say prediction and recommendation models, is helping those farmers a lot. And another use case is, of course, solar energy. I mean, India is, you people know better than me how hot is India. So you people do vacations in India, right? So even there are a lot of AI advancements in solar energy as well.
So yeah, you're talking about this development, but like Stephen Hawking said, everything is connected. No one thing can change by itself. So this growth economically is probably also interlinked with climate change. I'm interested in how do you think can one tackle this challenge?
Yeah, I guess you have taken the exacts. So it shows that you have listened to my TEDx talk. Thanks for that.
Yeah, sure.
So I would say climate change and economic growth, it goes hand in hand. I mean, let's say if the climate change is drastic, and it may lead to a damage in property or infrastructure, which directly impacts the economic growth of any nation. So it directly impairs the productivity in some cases, and hazards like I mean natural calamities like hurricanes, earthquakes, so these can cause a huge impact to any economy. So let's roll back a few years. Even India was heavily hit by tsunami. So to come back and to stand up from that, it needed some time and money as well. So for sure, we need to keep an eye on climate change. Otherwise, we'll end up in losing a lot of valuable things.
Yeah, so if we look in the current development of machine learning, or let's say if it's mostly driven by a lot of GPUs, I guess, or compute power, but also a lot of data, right? So data-driven insights and data-driven decisions, are dominating, and being more and more decision processes have been dominated by that, right? And supplementing it, augmenting it, right? And this reflects also, a recent study on PricewaterhouseCoopers, right, on the impact of AI in India, where given their study, like the majority, like 75% of Indian business decision makers would prefer to have purely AI advisors. We call them companion, right, and or at
Mhm.
least a combination of it, to make their promotion decisions, right? And seem to be really close, right? Something that directly has an impact on the individual, level. So it means it seems to be right. If I talk to my a bit of older folks, right, they would say like, "What a technical decision, would take over those kinds of decision. I don't want to have that." But if you talk to younger folks, they are purely okay because they say like, "Hey, this is a more rational, there's the more evidence-based decisions," right? Does this, it seems to be that, the folks out there
Yeah.
are super positive, in given some
Mhm.
decision process
Mhm.
to technical system. Does that reflect somehow really the positivity and the openness across the entire, India? Is you're being open that on new technology development that come very close to human?
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, India, and considering the huge workforce that we have, they are always open to new technologies. So if you look at some of the world leading companies, they have Indians on let's say board level or top level. So you can name it. I mean, Google is led by Sundar Pichai, who is from India, and Microsoft is led by Satya Nadella, who is from India, and there are a lot of other companies as well, let's say PepsiCo, and many a lot more companies or led by Indian people, which is a good sign already. So that clearly shows a sign of adaptability and thinking ahead. So, and especially when it comes to AI, as I said, it is currently a buzzword in India, and especially in a country like India, which is densely populated. So if somebody takes in something, people go crazy, and that has been the case of late. So I'm not sure whether you have followed this news recently. So Mukesh Ambani from India, he is now become the fifth richest man in the world, surpassing a lot of legends in the recent times. So that is again because of I mean, he's basically into he's a brilliant entrepreneur from India. So he's into petroleum industry in the past. He's into telecommunications, and he also does retail businesses. And now he has got interesting acquisitions with Google, Facebook, and Microsoft. So not all these three companies invested in a single firm. So this happened just recently, just a couple of weeks back. So Google invested heavily on Reliance Jio. Facebook invested huge amount of money as well. Microsoft does the same, and even they are in talks with Amazon and Apple as well in terms of collaboration. So that was a crazy thing that happened in India last weeks or so, and I'm pretty much happy that things are getting together at the moment, because if tech giants are investing heavily in an Indian company, then you know what is coming coming in the future. So we are excited for the coming years.
Yeah, that's probably also why Jeff Bezos most recently called out this is the Indian century, right? And speaking of this, what are your thoughts, and what does the role of the youth of India play?
hmm Yeah, Jeff Bezos, if I'm right, he visited India at the beginning of this year, and he said the same at the event. I mean, he said this 21st century belongs to India. So I would totally agree to his point of view. The reason is, if you look at the average age of India in 2020, this year, it is around 28 years, which is massive. I mean, a country which has so many people, I mean, like, it is the second most populated country in the world. And if you look at the average age of India, it is just 28 now. And even by 2050, it just goes to 35 to 38, which is again an awesome stuff. So I would say if things are put together in a proper way, and if people are led in a proper direction, then for sure this century is gonna be an Indian century. Because as I clearly mentioned, Indians are already there in a lot of tech firms doing good in their respective positions. So if this is going to be the case, then you can see a flurry of Indians everywhere. I mean, even now, if I go out for some coffee or some restaurants, um, people will readily ask, "Are you into IT? Are you an Indian?" So that's the two set of questions that I always get from anybody who who meets me in the public.
So there's like this enormous potential, but what is your take? How do you foster collaboration in this large community and combine all the superpowers?
Mhm. Yeah, so this is always going to be crucial. I mean, like, if you look at the wealth of population that owns a mobile, this is not so good. So people need to be in the digital space. So that is what these tech giants are trying to do in India. So regarding the investment that Google and Facebook has invested in an Indian firm, it is all about taking the internet and giving them access to social media. So if that is the right case, and if that is the right direction, then I believe that people will join forces. So with social media, that is another positive impact. Any sort of news travels faster than air. So anything that happens in north of India reaches south of India within minutes. So back in olden days, it was never the case. So if something has happened in Kashmir or Punjab, the people down south probably took some days to realize that such thing has happened. But with social media, nobody is gonna escape. So that is the beautiful thing. I mean, everybody is being watched. So that is all what people are slowly realizing, and that is good for the country's situation as well. So it is good for politics, it is good for the economy, and people getting educated more and more is actually good for the country.
It connects the people, right? It's somehow, not only on a physical track, but also on a virtual track, and being
Yes,
transparency, or at least accessibility of insights and information and data. And so it's actually connectivity also on mobility side, right? I guess
yeah,
Siemens is, can be
exactly.
almost seen as an Indian company, isn't it, right? Because it has that kind of an history, right? How do you see, the pace in the
Yeah.
change in mobility in India, and maybe also in Siemens in the mobility where you are currently working?
As you said, Siemens is typically like an Indian firm. I mean, it has its offices all across India. I mean, if you look at some of the metropolitan cities, Siemens is there everywhere. It is in Chennai, it is in Bengaluru, Pune. So since Siemens has this wide range of applications, so let's say from home appliances, wind, power, mobility. So Siemens is able to penetrate to a wide audience in India. So a lot of people can relate Siemens. So since they have some home appliances or since they use some wind or power applications at home. So that's the case with Siemens in India. But coming back to the data products in Siemens Mobility, it's doing good. I mean, since the carved out Siemens Mobility is now a separate entity that most of the people are still not yet aware of, to be honest. But if you look at the data products, I mean, if somebody is closely related to Siemens Mobility, then I would say they should be knowing about Religent, which is Rail plus Intelligent, which is an intelligent platform that we provide to our customers and clients, where we do a lot of prediction models, availabilities, and reliabilities. So it's getting in a good shape. And to be honest, I'm happy to be a part of this amazing team at Siemens Mobility. I'm looking forward for the challenges.
So to summarize, one could say that the role of AI in mobility itself is increasing, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, AI, you can't take away AI from anything. To be honest, in the coming years, AI will be there by default in any product that is being developed because things are getting automated in a faster pace, and AI is almost everywhere. And particularly when it comes to mobility, we work with trains that are being used by the public in our day-to-day lives. So that is the good thing about working for Siemens Mobility, because if you look at the AI products, most of them are I mean, like POCs, or they don't go into production. But in Siemens Mobility, what we are doing is more or less getting into the production, and things are getting installed and monitored day and night, 24 by 7, which is a good thing. So what we are doing is being reflected to the public.
hmm Can you share some of the use cases or applications? I guess, if people out there would talk about, mobility and AI, they say like, oh, are you doing autonomous driving or stuff like that? But obviously, if you work then, in trains and production, other use cases also arise, right? Can you share what are the typical applications that you see, right, which are data fueled, or, can you share something?
For sure. So there is this prediction of maintenance schedules, which is coming in handy for a lot of mobility makers, change makers in the world. And there is this availability of trains. So we are making sure that a train is available. So that is one of the good aspects when it comes to travel. So a lot of people are using trains. Trains are almost unavoidable. I mean, globally, people are using trains, and we are making sure that train is available and it is also reliable to a certain point. So these sorts of use cases makes it look good to any provider, let's say. So Deutsche Bahn and you name it across the globe. Since Siemens has its branches all across the globe, we have the capabilities and we are working in close cooperation with almost a lot of mobility businesses across the globe.
Mhm. I guess what it's called the ecosystem, right? And this gains more and more importance, right? That you somehow shift from a pure, I develop something, you're user, here's a product, you are the user, but it's rather, I don't know, it almost feels like a community, right? Especially if you have entering, let's say, the platform economy, with certain offerings, whether it's, on your side, I guess, Railage and stuff like that. So you're rather speaking of communities, right? Instead of users, and communities are established via ecosystems, right? You have now actually a great overview, you know about the European ecosystem, so also in AI and the community around there. And you see also maybe, have a good spore on the ecosystem in India. What's the pros and cons on both sides? Or what do you, where do you gain the most of different natures out there? Can you share some learnings?
So if you look at advancements in AI, particularly in Europe or in a developed nation like in US or Canada, it is well advanced. But if you look at trains or mobility business in a country like in India, it still needs a pat at its back. So just recently, India have announced a collaboration with a private company when it comes to mobility business. So it took all these years for India to realize that we need joint forces. I mean, of course, government cannot handle all the things, and particularly in a country like in India, it is so huge, and the railway network is one of the huge networks in the world. So to manage that, they need close collaboration or cooperation when it comes to new technologies or new companies. So that is where company like Siemens can be benefited, and a company, a lot of technologies can be incorporated into businesses in India. So I would say it is still in its early days when it comes to mobility businesses in India. But I mean, taking away the trains, if you look at the other mobility aspects, a lot of cities in India now has this Uber, Ola, and all sorts of car sharing stuffs, which is really handy for people to travel from one place to another. So I would say it's since it's early days in India, we cannot come to a conclusion, but for sure we are excited about the usage of AI, particularly in mobility businesses in India.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we were talking about like the ecosystem, right? But the most important part of an ecosystem is obviously the people. And one key aspect for them to participate is that they get educated in artificial intelligence. So I'm wondering, do you have any educational courses for people who are want to get involved into the field of AI and educate themselves?
For sure. I mean, starting from this COVID situation, India, I mean, not just India, almost everybody are facing this lockdown times. So I always advise people to take up courses and upskill themselves. So particularly platforms like Linda, for instance, Udemy, Coursera, and Udacity. So they can make use of this COVID situation. They can learn something new, which is actually good because we have a lot of time at the moment. So a lot of students are studying online, a lot of people are working from home. So the time is flexible. So you have that option where you can take an hour or two in between to do some extracurricular activity or co-curricular activity. So I have always advised people to take up such things apart from what they study or what they do at work. So they can make use of this COVID situation for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point, I think. So we're almost at the end, sadly. But before we wrap up, we want to have a second small game. So I will have a starter phrase, and we would like you to finish them as soon as possible. Are you ready?
Yeah, it looks interesting. Let me see.
So the first one is Siemens is.
Okay. Siemens is, I would say, it's one of the best employers in the world.
Okay, I can agree. The second one would be sustainability to society is.
Sustainability to societies is really important to remain healthy over a long term. Is what needed to the society.
Okay, and innovation is?
I would say innovation is a process. It is of doing things, not just about thinking. So it is the only way to win.
And since you have a mobility background, what is your favorite means of transport?
Oh, I mean, I love traveling, so for sure it has to be a car. I'm a big fan of cars. So being in Munich, being in Germany, for sure, I'm a big fan of BMWs, Audis, and Volkswagens. So whatnot. We are the leading automakers in the world, right? So yes.
So I have a really last sentence for you. My personal superpower is.
It's making feel special, I would say.
That is a very intensive and a very special superpower. That's pretty awesome. Vijay, thanks so much for being and spending time and, spending time with you and sharing some of your views and interesting views on AI. And folks out there, stay tuned. There is so much to come. Stay bold, committed, open-minded, and hear you at the next Siemens AI Lab podcast. Thanks, guys.